All right. Episode number 14 of What's the Big Idea podcast is set to come out, and I am here in the Worldwide Wills studio, also known as the Seaside Town Square. I wanted to talk a little bit about episode number 14 because it's really a important topic, and it's part of a broader theme that I'd like for some of my episodes to carry, which is what I call longevity. Now, longevity could mean just living a long life, but I bet if you put 1,000 people in a room and you said, "Hey, who wants to live longer?" you might actually have a few people who would raise their hand and say, "No, thank you." Maybe people who are incurably sick or in a tremendous amount of pain, or just, at the end of their life and have come to peace with it. But the type of longevity that I'm talking about, good health longevity, the period of time in your life when you are the most healthy, the best fit, in shape, strong, the highest quality of life that you have the potential to reach, that's the longevity that I'm talking about. And of course, healthcare is going to be a big component of that conversation, which leads me to episode number 14. Now, this is a follow-up from a previous episode with Hillary Glenn about the Point Washington Medical Clinic. And episode number 14 is a follow-up for the Point Washington Medical Clinic. Now, the Point Washington Medical Clinic is a healthcare organization in Walton County that provides free healthcare. You heard that right. Free healthcare, as in healthcare at no charge. If you come to the Point Washington Medical Clinic and you come seeking healthcare, you are going to be seen at no cost. It's just an amazing concept to me, as big as an expense health insurance and healthcare are for the average American family. I'm speaking from personal experience. We pay $18,000 a year for health insurance, and we probably don't use a tenth of it, to be honest with you. So it's a big expense. And for the Point Washington Medical Clinic to be providing free healthcare is just mind-blowing to me. I wanted to follow up with Hillary Glenn and see how it was going, specifically because the Point Washington Medical Clinic is in the process of building a huge facility to support their operations. Now, the Point Washington Medical Clinic exists by volunteers and charitable donations. They don't charge money for the service they provide. This service costs money. They have to get the money from somewhere. It comes from volunteers and it comes from charitable donations. My first question is, how did you get a building if you're not charging any money? And the biggest component of that equation is the land lease they were able to secure from the Point Washington United Methodist Church. Such a tremendous gift the Point Washington United Methodist Church has given not only to the Point Washington Medical Clinic, but to all of the residents of Walton County and the surrounding areas, and really anyone in the world who wanted to come to Walton County and be seen by the Point Washington Medical Clinic will have the Point Washington United Methodist Church to thank for the land that this fantastic organization operates from. A few facts about the Point Washington Medical Clinic. Opened its doors April 2017 with one clinic day a week. Since April 2017, they have seen over 12,000 clinic visits and have provided $2.5 million in health care in those 12,000 visits. This is another interesting thing. There were, in 2021, 2,100 unique patient clinic visits. That means 2,100 different people in 2021 came and received healthcare at the Point Washington Medical Clinic. 2,100 unique visits. I think that is a really high number for a free healthcare clinic. And that accounts for 27,500 volunteer hours that have been contributed in the process of putting out that $2.5 million worth of healthcare. The Point Washington Medical Clinic has increased the care that they've offered from 1 day a week in April of 2017. They've doubled it. They're now available 2 days a week. They've also expanded their care to include dental care. The new building's going to have pediatric rooms, and they are conducting healthcare education, disease prevention, services that every community needs. The Point Washington Medical Clinic was founded by Patsy Vargo and Hillary Glenn. This is just a tremendous service they provide to the community. And I sit down with Hillary Glenn to hear her talk about the Point Washington Medical Clinic and also a couple of fundraisers that are coming up. This is a charitable organization. They exist by charitable donations. Today is September the 8th. It's my dad's birthday. On September the 10th, they being the Point Washington Medical Clinic, is putting on a charitable fundraising dinner at Bud and Alley's right across the street from Seaside. Well, it's in Seaside, right across the street on 30A. And you can contact Brittany Dykes to see if any dinner tickets are available. I'm sure it's going to be spectacular. They also have something that I'm really excited about. The View magazine is doing a on a couple of chefs, and also a art release of some of Julian Lennon's work. That's John Lennon's son, and he will be here on September the 16th, releasing some of his work. And I think, I'm not 100% sure about this, but a very talented artist that I grew up with, Ashley Longshore, will be in town, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Ashley, if you see this and I'm not telling the truth, I'm sure you'll let me know. But the View is putting on this fundraiser on September the 16th. Again, you can contact Hillary Glenn or Brittany Dykes to get more information. They also have traditional fundraising. You can make a capital campaign, a capital contribution. You can just donate money. They would be very, very thankful and would be happy to promote the fact that you made this donation. It's very important, and quite frankly, you should get some credit for it. Event sponsorship. There is an organization within Point Washington Medical Clinic called the Circle of 100, and it's for individuals who sign up to contribute at least $100 every month on an annual basis. And then they take general donations of all kinds. If you have some sort of like-kind donation that you would like to contribute, get in touch with Brittany Dykes or Hillary Glenn or Patsy Vargo and let them know what's on your mind. Let them know that you want to help, and they will be very, very happy to receive your contribution. So yeah, check it out. Episode number 14, What's the Big Idea, with the Point Washington Medical Clinic and Hillary Glenn.
And okay, so Hillary Glenn, thank you for coming back and talking to me about the Point Washington Medical Clinic for episode number 14 of What's the Big Idea.
Awesome.
Right, I'm basically a podcast veteran now. I remember, we sat down back in November of 2020. Feels like an eternity ago.
Yes, agreed.
And I remember hearing about the Point Washington Medical Clinic, and I really thought, this has got to be too good to be true. A basically free medical clinic, takes donations, but basically a free medical clinic serving the community. And I thought, no way that this is going to work. There's got to be some catch. But sure enough, you came in, and it is as good as it sounded when you started going over when you started going over all of the care that you've been given, all the volunteer hours that you guys represent. It really is a fantastic organization that is just, I mean, the crown jewel of this community when it comes to healthcare. And so I hate to say that when you told me that there was going to be a building in the future, I thought my cynical brain came back in and I thought, you'll have to forgive me. It is sweltering hot.
It's really hot.
But we don't care.
90 plus and probably 110%.
Feels like 110 for sure. And it's 5:30 in the evening. So that has not helped as much as I thought it would.
No.
But
sadly, it is the middle of August or late August.
Yeah, it is definitely August. But when I heard there would be a building, I thought, no way that this building will come to fruition. Hillary's a nice person, but she's not going to get it done. And here we are. We are sitting in a building that is nearing completion, certainly from never existing in the first place to where you are right now. I would say you guys are 40% complete with this building, maybe?
Well,
let's give it 25%.
Okay, at least 25.
At least 25%. Yeah. But so before we get into the statistics of the building and what's going to happen here, what has been going on with the Point Washington Medical Clinic since November of 2020?
That's almost 2 years ago.
I know, that's crazy, right?
That is.
Where
really
were we
crazy.
in the pandemic? It was
about 6 months in.
Right.
We were getting ready to have another surge. We were no, we were not. Gosh, that was the original 6 months. So we were here, so different from other places, but we were
using the pop-up. Y'all were doing a pop-up.
We were actually functioning outside. We were still doing a pop-up, but had been testing and whatnot, literally outside. Then we were able to get a mobile medical unit with the J.W. Couch Foundation. And we were doing the bulk of our COVID testing in the van while we were still seeing clinic patients inside. And we were also doing some telemedicine because it was still many of our patients were kind of scared to come out and come to the clinic because of exposure risk. So we had telemedicine happening, we had clinic inside happening, and we had COVID testing and treating of patients who were ill outside.
Wow. So y'all just hit it head on.
Yes.
That is awesome.
It was pretty crazy. So, but in November of 2020.
I guess the election had just happened.
And we had a surge a little bit after July 4th that year, but really got hit pretty hard again after the holidays. And then again, we had a huge surge with the Delta wave after July of 21. So I think at that point, we were all hoping that COVID might go away.
Right.
But I think we all know now it's kind of here to stay.
Right.
But we've been able to really transition to, it just has become part of the way we operate clinic, where I call Felix is our mobile medical unit. I just basically call that our infectious wing or infectious disease wing. And we treat anyone who has symptoms outside in Felix.
They go to Felix.
That's
a good idea.
We screen people out, at the door. And if they screen negative, they come inside and they're seen. If they screen positive, then we'll treat them outside on the bus.
Well, how is the Point Washington Medical Clinic doing with staff and supplies and all the things they need besides a nice building to operate?
Supplies were doing well. We luckily, we're very lucky to have donors and then organizations that support us, that we're able to get medications donated, some, not all, and some supplies donated. And then we have the money from donors that we can buy the supplies. We have a lot of volunteers. I will say that post-COVID, some volunteers who were regulars with us before that are hesitant to come back, but we still do have, our volunteer pool is somewhere between 100 and 110 volunteers.
Is that the circle of 100? Is that?
That is not.
Okay.
So
sorry.
We'll get to the circle of 100.
Right.
But within those 110 volunteers, we have 7 licensed medical providers. So we have 4 MDs, a retired OBGYN, a retired pediatric endocrinologist, a board-certified emergency medicine physician, and a board-certified cardiologist.
Wow.
We also have a pediatric nurse practitioner and another family nurse practitioner who all volunteer their time to treat our patients. And then on top of that, we have about 12 nurses, so registered nurses who are licensed in the state of Florida that volunteer their time
Wow.
to treat the patients as well. And the rest of that are non-licensed volunteers who do things like the screening desk or check-in registration or the checkout medical records piece.
And what do you attribute the well-functioning or the success of the Point Washington Medical Clinic? Why does it work here? And where is another example of a free healthcare clinic that operates like the Point Washington Medical Clinic that you guys are either role models for or try to emulate in terms of replicating?
So there's about 1,400 free and charitable clinics across the country. We are members of the National Association of Free and Charitable Clinics as well as the Florida Association of Free and Charitable Clinics. Within them, there's different models and different ways that clinics operate. Within that, we are also an affiliate of Volunteers in Medicine, which really uses a volunteer-based model to where, your biggest expense really in running any kind of medical facility is personnel, is paying for licensed professionals. And so to have them be volunteer really reduces your costs. So that is a model that we started the clinic here and then discovered the Volunteers in Medicine model that are, similar to, but not necessarily the same. And then within our area, there are other free and charitable clinics so our motto is radically inclusive healthcare. And so if you come to our door and you want to be treated, we will treat you. So that you don't have to qualify.
Is that the radical part, is that there is no qualification?
So it doesn't matter if, you do have insurance and you could pay, but you want to come and be seen, or if you can't afford to anything,
right?
And we'll see everyone. But why that's so awesome is that many people who have the means and might have insurance choose to come and be treated with us, and then they leave a donation, and in a sense of maybe paying it forward or just being part of the community. It then enables members who can't afford to have healthcare.
That is awesome.
It's very cool.
Especially in an environment where healthcare is so expensive and, the terrain of healthcare is so complicated, it seems like, to figure out. I mean, the last time we spoke, I was really hoping I could get you to argue with me about health insurance, but you were smart enough not to comment too much on insurance. But I mean, just as a person who pays for their insurance, it's always a pain point, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people, everybody. I mean, that's why.
Right. I think if you pay for it out of pocket, it's painful. If your employer's paying for it, then that's a different story. But that's becoming less and less prevalent.
Right.
And I think we talked about this last time, that so many of we are a resort destination. We are a tourist place. And so most of the industries that support our economy are those that typically do not offer health insurance for their employees. So many of the people who are working to make our economy work, people working in housekeeping and construction and, some restaurants, bartending, you name it, retail.
Right.
And small businesses, they don't historically offer health insurance for their employees. But those employees then they don't make enough money to afford health insurance on their own, but then they do not qualify for assistance.
The Affordable Care Act, right?
Right. Or just, for, Medicaid or.
Oh, right. The variety of
So they don't qualify. So they fall into that donut hole of, I don't qualify for assistance, but I don't make enough money to get health insurance. And so then they're without coverage.
Here comes Hillary Glenn.
Yes. No, here comes the Point Washington Medical
Oh, no, it's
Clinic.
all you. No, I'm kidding. Of course not.
No.
Well, that's, so who, can we talk about any of your donors? Can we throw a shout out to some of your?
I mean, I tell you every day, I'm kind of blown away by our community. So I think a barrier for something like this happening in other communities is community buy-in and having the resources within the community to support it. So we have an incredibly generous community who understands that a community is only, you're going to have to edit that out, but
It's okay.
it's like a community that supports the community health is a healthy community.
Right.
And we have that. So all of the local foundations are big supporters, huge supporters. Alice Foundation, the St. Joe Community Foundation, both have given us money for either the building or the equipment within the building.
And I don't want to put you on the spot because when the cameras are on, it can be hard to remember all the details.
Yes. Okay. I know what are the other major local foundations?
The Children's Health Network.
Well, so the Children's Volunteer Health Network is another nonprofit.
Okay.
Which we do try to work with.
Right.
And I think as we get into the new building, we'll work with them more.
Probably the 360 Blue folks. Well, of course, they were bought by St. Joe. So
so they have been supporters. The Rosemary Beach Foundation is a supporter. The Davis Family Foundation are big supporters. We have a lot of local businesses that have supported us. A lot of the restaurants, so Bud and Alley's, Black Bear, Amavita. I know I'm leaving out so many.
Of course,
and
yes.
I hate to leave anyone out, but and then tons of just local private citizens who are part of our community who have seen the benefit. Jay Geyer and his business has given us huge donation for the building.
So when did you have the idea for the building? Or maybe it wasn't your idea, but when did the idea for the building really take form?
I would say pretty early on.
Yeah.
When Patsy and I, we started it and we knew there was demand or need for what we were going to do. We didn't know how big the need was. And, quickly we realized that one day a week wasn't enough. And we were able to, I think, June of 2019, we were able to add a second day. It might not have been that late. Don't quote me on that date. But, we added a second day because we knew that the demand was just crazy. We were seeing, like 50, 55 patients on a regular basis on Wednesdays.
Wow.
So then, go ahead.
Well, in those early days, I mean, it must have been a total volunteer situation for you and Patsy. And did you guys have any doubt about what you were doing? I know you knew you were helping people, but did you think that this would be a short run, that you would do this thing and it would be a nice thing to do until like you had to buy groceries and stuff and,
I thought that that 1 or 2 days would be good. Early on, months into the clinic, Patsy and I had talked about, let's open up our private practice and then 2 days, do clinics always on Wednesday at the church. And then we could, have our own thing going on and maybe part of the revenue could fund part of the clinic and just realize that the need is too big.
Right. How many days do you operate now?
Currently 2.
2 days.
During 2020, when we were able to operate on Thursdays, but that's the other main constraint with where we are is it's a shared building. It is labor intensive for us to pop the clinic up
Right.
and then to deconstruct the clinic every day we have clinic. But it's also the church's space, and
Sure.
they use it for programming. And so, although at this point we could probably, finagle a half of a day on another day, it's just...
You're not trying to encroach too much on
Right.
the very generous donation that they've already made.
The extremely generous donation
Right.
that they have given us.
So
The space.
you had this idea for we need a building, obviously.
Yes.
But when did it really start to take root and we're going to do this? We've got a set of plans. How did you get the land?
So I would say within a year and a half, 2 years of being in operation, Patsy and I both were like, we need our own space. We need to be open more than 2 days a week. And we had one set of drawings, which was maybe a 2,000 square foot building with just 4 exam rooms. It was very small comparatively. And it was on a different site on the church's campus.
Mm-hmm.
And then that site the county was like, you can't build there. And so then we were given generously by the church another area, and then that didn't work out. And so ultimately we ended up on this lot.
And this is land that was owned by or is still owned by the church, Point Washington Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And they have let you guys just set up here and build your building here.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we have a long-term land lease with them.
Mm-hmm.
In totality right now, it's a 40-year land lease.
Right.
It's extremely generous. It's amazing that they would even consider it, but that we actually got that done.
Right.
Remember having major celebrations when we signed the lease. And then from lease signage, we had plans drawn, and then one of our donors who is very big into dentistry, Jay Geyer, we said, he's like, you're doing this we had just one dental suite. And so we had one building design, then we had a second design, and we only had one dental suite. And he's like, you need more than one dental suite. That's just not going to cover the need. And so we then went back and redesigned, and now we have 3 dental suites.
Wow.
And kind of reconfigured the layout of the interior a little bit.
Well, give me a rundown on what the building is going to be able to provide, the space here. And
Okay. So it's a
4,500 square foot, 4,500. Wow.
It will have 4 exam rooms, 2 procedure rooms, 3 dental suites.
Wow.
It will have a lab where we'll be able to, continue testing for infectious diseases, and ultimately, hopefully, get other testing that will help save everyone money. We will have private checkout areas. So right now we're in the middle of a big room and we create 2 exam rooms, and patients are checking out basically in the middle of the room. And these are sensitive matters,
of course,
that should be done in private and not in the middle of a room. And so there'll be 3 checkout stations, which will be amazing. We'll have individual dedicated charting areas. So reception will have we'll actually have like desktop computers.
Wow.
Which will live there. There'll be 4 charting areas in the nurses station, and then 2 charting areas in the back, then the checkout area. We will also have a meeting room / lecture hall that will communicate with our teaching kitchen, which is game changer.
Teaching kitchen?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about this thing, because I love to eat.
Okay, eating is good. I do, yes. So teaching kitchen. So we know that many of the chronic illnesses that Americans have are really, if not mitigated and lessened by what you're eating.
Being fat?
Yes.
I can say this because I'm a reformed fat person. I have recently lost 70 pounds, so I can talk about being obese.
Yes.
No, and I feel great after dropping that weight. So
you feel better.
It's just,
but you
it's
have
a game
to learn
changer.
how to eat.
You cannot outwork your diet. This is 100% true.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how hard you work, how many miles you run. If you eat too much, it will not work.
Right. Or if you eat the
wrong
things.
foods. Yes.
Yeah. And so I would say you are dealing with our patient population hasn't had the nutrition education that they need. I mean, most Americans have not. And so having a teaching kitchen where we can literally teach patients, give them the proper nutrition and teach them that, but show them how to make it and show them that it is still tasty and you can do it and it can be done quickly. You can make a very healthy meal in 30 minutes.
Right.
And, it's just so important to be healthy.
Right.
You have to eat right. And ultimately, the goal is for our patients to reach their optimal wellness. And the only way they're going to do that is through learning how to eat right. It's literally, we have to teach them.
Wow.
And we'll also in the meeting room be able to do fitness classes. So, there'll be the programming is sky's the limit. We'll be having yoga classes, Tai Chi, maybe some other, low impact fitness. Maybe we'll have an HIIT class. Sky's the limit. We will do meditation, prayer classes.
Love it.
Name it. All of that can happen there now because we have our own space that we are at will to do whatever we want with the programming.
That is so great.
So that's amazing. The only other thing that's really cool about this building is we'll have a dispensary.
Oh, cool.
And so we will be carrying
a dispensary of
medications.
That's awesome. Oh, okay.
So nothing controlled.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. So the 30 most common medications that we prescribe, we'll carry in I hesitate to say pharmacy because, but
it's not controlled substances, but it's is it compounding more like that or
no? It'll just be like lisinopril, metformin, insulin, antibiotics.
Gotcha.
So say someone comes in and they have a wicked bad skin infection. We might have had to do a incision and drainage and open it up. And then we can literally send them home with the antibiotics so that we know that they're going to get what they need. And we don't have to worry about their transportation issues or if they have the money to buy the antibiotic, we can give it to them.
Wow. Just things that a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah.
Including me. That is awesome. I'm looking forward to having another follow-up on opening day and seeing this beautiful building come to life. I'm so thrilled to be sitting here with you 2 years later, having come from the perspective of, it's a nice idea, but I don't think it's going to happen, cynically in my heart. And to be proven wrong here, that's just great because y'all are doing just amazing stuff. I was really excited to talk to you because, in the podcast, I want to do sort of a theme on longevity, how to live longer and really get into sort of more cutting edge, wild ideas, in the healthcare realm. What are some, I hate to say wild ideas, but cutting edge, what is the future of healthcare? How do you live longer, quality life, live longer?
Eat better.
Eat better. That's the start for sure. But I want to know what kind of implants I can get in my brain, to make me live longer. But I mean, do you keep up with sort of science fiction fact healthcare? Is there anything that you think is really cool in terms of upcoming technology? With artificial intelligence being able to sort of diagnose. I know you have your plate full just trying to get the drywall on the wall over here. So you probably don't have time to, dig into Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Not much at this point. Not that I won't.
Right.
I mean, we do we have from the Alice Foundation, we were able to get an EKG machine. But what's so cool about it is you don't have to place the electrodes. It comes on one strip.
Okay.
So that because we have volunteers, you can't necessarily always get them trained perfectly. So it makes it easier to make sure that their electrodes are in the right place. And then you attach it to this little device this big. And then it Bluetooths the report to an iPad.
Very cool. Which
then uses AI to do a report. But we then, I call our cardiologist volunteer and say, could you take a look at this EKG? And he can be wherever he is in the world. And go, yeah, sure, let me log in. And, logs into and can review an EKG from afar.
That's really cool.
So things like that are amazing.
Now, what about imaging?
Yes.
X-rays, MRIs?
Imaging and referral to specialists are two biggest needs and most difficult things to accomplish because they're expensive.
I mean, a good MRI machine is how much?
A lot.
$1 million or 250,000. I mean,
they're expensive.
They're expensive right?
I don't know, and they take up space. They're a lot of space, which although this building is large,
right?
There's not space in here for. And then really like with advanced imaging, it's then the radiologist, to overread it,
right?
And that's another big expense.
Do you think there would be a demand here for imaging if it were provided? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I really would like to have an X-ray, dreams, which I think in the future, the machines are getting smaller and smaller, that there might be potential to have it in a smaller space.
Well, maybe there's somebody out there that's sitting on an X-ray machine that can donate it to the PWMC Medical Clinic.
That would be awesome. And then donate a radiologist.
Maybe even better, a radiologist is sitting on an X-ray machine.
Yeah.
That they would come in and just be like, I've been waiting to move to the beach.
Yeah.
And
be here to help serve.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, I think I know someone who would.
Okay. See?
Overread.
There we go.
But,
so you have a fundraiser coming up.
Yes, we have
multiple, right?
Yeah.
You got the Harvest Moon. Are they both Harvest Moon? Is that the theme?
No. So the Harvest Moon is our annual fundraiser. So this is our 6th annual. So we had our first one when we were a mere 6 months old.
Wow.
And it always falls on the Harvest Moon, kind of in celebration of you get to reap all of the bounty of the hard work that you have done over the harvest season.
I'm digging it.
So looking back on what you've accomplished, over the work of the year.
Perfect.
It's symbolically very cool. And it's always fun for me to look back and see what all the clinic has accomplished in that year. But so that is happening. The Harvest Moon is actually on the full moon this year, September 10th.
Perfect.
It is sponsored by Bud and Alley's.
Okay. Sponsored by Bud and Alley's. Is it going to be at Bud and Alley's?
It's at Bud and Alley's.
Okay.
We'll be on their back deck, so view of the ocean.
Now, how are you raising money? Is it through tickets or donations or both?
This will be ticket sales for sure. It'll be a sit-down dinner and then dancing after with a band called Jay and the Causeways.
Jay and the Causeways.
Really fun.
What kind of music is Jay and the Causeways?
Fun dancing.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Live podcast. We're going to get Hillary out there dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a silent auction. We're going to
Okay.
do a wine pull this year, which we have not ever done before. So that'll be really fun. And then we are going to have a paddle race. So the Davis Family Foundation has given us a matching grant, and we're going to try to raise the funds to match that.
Very cool.
So that will be awesome.
Do we have a per plate price yet for?
It's $275
Cheap.
for a single seat.
Okay.
And we do have a nominal discount for if you buy a table
No
for
discounts.
10.
No discounts. What? How many tables do we have?
We have place for 80 people.
80 people. Okay.
So.
That should be a snap.
Yes, we are about halfway there.
Awesome.
So I would say for those of you listening, if you're interested, buy your tickets now.
Yes. Sounds like a great time.
But so what's also cool about this is our silent auction will open for the Harvest Moon, but it is going to roll over to the V Magazine
Release
show
part.
home.
Okay.
Yeah. So their reveal of the Heritage Show Home. And
is that the second fundraiser?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is on September 16th. And it is going to be awesome.
Do we know where that
day
is?
We'll close out the silent auction.
Is the location of the reveal known yet?
It's at the Heritage.
Oh, it's at the Heritage. Okay, cool.
And off record. So Julian Lennon is the guest of honor.
Oh, nice.
But he's freaked out about public announcements of it because he's had some crazies follow him.
So do I need to edit this out?
So I don't know.
Maybe ask Julian if he minds.
If I were on speaking terms with the man, I would. But as long as that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
I think
How do
we
you
can
promote
probably
it?
talk about it.
Right.
We won't provide a link for people to buy tickets.
Gotcha.
Not that many people. You want one?
Please, thank goodness. I mean, I can't only
Sorry.
imagine how sweaty I look.
I'm feeling sweat right now.
No, you look great.
It's not. But the V show home, I mean, it is going to be spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really fun. Really excited about everything that the team at V has put together.
And that's September the 16th.
That is September the 16th.
Awesome.
Well,
that is all very exciting news. And I just cannot wait to see what you and your team accomplish here over the next year. Are there any high points from the previous year that you want to bring up? I mean, is there anything? I know you're excited and proud of everything you guys have done, but I don't know. Is there any highlight that you really want to?
I think every day that I'm in clinic, I get touched by a patient's story.
Yeah.
And I think that, oftentimes thinking about getting a ride to the pharmacy isn't something that maybe crosses our mind on a daily basis. But I love some of the patients that we've really been able to treat this year.
Right. You never know how important your health is until you don't have it.
If you don't have your health, you can't really do anything.
I love the cliche, I guess it is, that, a rich man wants 1,000 things, but a poor man only wants one. Or no, excuse me. A healthy man wants 1,000 things, but a sick person only wants one. And coming from a place where I was in a pretty, bad personal health, a couple years ago, to how I feel now, man. I mean, it is just so important to take care of yourself. Well,
that's I had and I think we talked about it.
Yeah.
On our last podcast. So I've been in that place where I
That's right.
couldn't. I mean, walking was painful. I remember I worked in an emergency room. I couldn't spike an IV bag. I was in so much pain and so tired. That he just wanted to be healthy. And I, often in yoga classes, what to set your intention is be thankful for having a body that I
able
can
to do this.
Move.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I think coming, adding the component of wellness to help people get to be well again, so they can, if you are type 2 diabetic, we can help you learn how to eat, learn how to move your body, and maybe you can quit taking that metformin. Maybe you won't need the metformin.
What a gift.
Yeah. And so that's why this is so important. But I think making it to the point where we actually broke ground, I think is probably one of the things that is most amazing over the last year.
For sure.
Because it will expand our ability. I mean, we will explode. Will be access to the clinic and its services will increase by 300%.
Wow.
We'll have 6 exam rooms versus 2. So the amount of people that we'll be able to serve in a more private environment, in a just more comfortable environment, in a place where they won't have to wait as long. I mean, it's a game changer.
It's all good.
Yeah. It's so exciting.
Well, I, just want to say that the local community is just, really, really thankful to, have what you guys are doing. This is just great. This is great. A lot of places, don't have anything close to this. So I know how important the work you guys are doing. And I appreciate you coming back and talking to me about it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right.
I can't wait in a year.
Yes.
Oh, what
Follow up.
will happen?
All right. That's cool.
All right.